that when the new development comes, we'll ensure that long-term renters like your ma get an inside track on affordable housing in your neighborhood. And the OGs will be down with that, and who knows how many gang members are in Durham, but they send their whole hood out to vote for whoever said that to them.
Right.
But I don't feel like people are, in actuality, I feel like most people are actually scared of the people who I would call OGs. They probably view them as super predators like Hillary Clinton. And that there's an actuality an interest in doing things in people's names, but not necessarily doing things in a way that will enfranchise the people so that they can upset the balance of power that someone else is trying to create, that the candidates are trying to create. So I feel like there's definitely going to be a swell of millennials in this election. I don't think they're going to be the young folks who need affordable housing, though. I think they're probably going to be students, yuppies, hipsters, and the like.
And do you think this is going to be enough to swing the election one way or the other, or do you think that there'll be enough of that kind of force that can swing an election, or do you think, as some people are speculating, that they will come out and vote more, but they may not necessarily have enough numbers to swing an election? Durham is an interesting place. What, say what, anything can happen. And I'll associate it back to my experience. My mother, and this is real, my mother was running for office, and she had the Durham Committee on the Affairs of Black People's endorsement, and she had some support in the People's Alliance, but there was a front runner in the People's Alliance for their endorsement who everyone thought would take the endorsement and win the election, dude named Frank Hyman. Right. This guy was giving commentary on my mother's campaign and her candidacy, and he called her a card-carrying member of the Communist Workers' Party. Now, a lot of my mother's friends at the time were members of unionists who were trying to organize at Duke. Right.
She wasn't a member of the Communist Workers' Party. My mother's a holy roller. Straight from Mount Calvary. My grandma's prophetess Hattie Bowie. But, she was down with whatever was going to bring the most resources to her people and people in her position. The PAC, the People's Alliance, PAC, had a lot of liberals, left-leaning liberals, recovering hippies in it. And so when Frank called my mother a communist, which she wasn't, he got called out for red baiting. They called him a McCarthyist. What's the dude? He was a cross-dresser, but he was also head of the FBI. What was his name? J. Edgar Hoover. They called him a Hoover. And so he fractured his own electoral base by attacking someone with false intelligence, false information, bad knowledge. And so my mother, single parent, 6 kids, we struggling. She wins the city council election because homie who was supposed to be a shoe-in, slipped. That's just to say, politics ain't predictable as they seem. Multi vocati electi pauci. Many are called, few are chosen. Many are called, few are the elect.
That's very true. So, what you've done, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and so that's just to say, only we could have the great choices for a mayor in a national election.
Right.
If only we could have, our beautiful choices, our great choices, our informed, intelligent, savvy choices for mayor in a national election. If only the rest of the world had our choices in our city of medicine, it'd be a grand thing.
Right.
But like with medicine, it's not always a predictable thing which treatment will work. One man's poison is another man's cure.
That's very
Anybody
true.
can take
one of the things you've done in the past is you've also been involved in the music community, and you actually even bring some of your knowledge into your music. So tell our audience a little bit about how you've managed to mix activism and your music, because that's one of the things I've always known you for, is mixing the two of those together.
Well, I call myself I'm a AAA brother. I'm an artist, an activist, and an academic. And so many people view these things as necessarily siloed activities. But, I haven't had to necessarily silo these activities. And so I feel like music is the best vehicle for teaching people anything. We learn our ABCs, the Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and everything literate we learn after that is based on that. And so music as an educational or activationist tool is obvious. I came up, in the church, singing hymns, and so I've always had a consciousness as to the power of the word, if not the power of words, the life and death in the tongue. I feel like so many times music is used to transfer subliminal or not so subliminal messages that lend themselves to our engaging our baser intents or, our detrimental desires. And so, even the best song is about, loving a woman you ain't got or you ain't supposed to have. Rarely is a crooner singing about his wife. He's singing about the thing he wants, right? The desire of it. And, extant to that, the music becomes, at least in certain genre, hip-hop and R&B in particular, the music becomes about alcohol. The music becomes about drugs. The music becomes about hypermasculinity, which is or alpha maleism, which is in actuality all an abstraction of the erotic desire that Sam Cooke and everybody else sang about.
Right.
I feel like what I do personally is I try to engage in, and this used to be subtle, the Sugar Hill Gang, right? The Rob Bass, Easy Rock, used to be just, a passing reference to, what we doing to get right, and now it's become, the overt aesthetic and motif of the craft, of the art, of the genre. I try to do what I call, rather than dealing with subliminal messages that pull you down below, I try to do what I call supraliminal messaging. And so I take, eloquences and passages from, say, the Bible, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, the Bhagavad Gita, that represent, the arc literatures and most eloquent uses of languages in other tongues and in English. And I weave those lines, those metaphors into my work, or those concepts into my work, so that there is, even if people recognize it or don't, there's a transcendental quality at play and present in the work. And so it's not necessarily me beating people over the head, Ain't no kids going to listen to my music if I'm like, go to school, yo. But if I be like, and so, that might be, a bit much. It could be framed as, corny, soft, and that's not necessarily what my target pop is looking for, and so, my tagline now is using the erotic as a vehicle for the radical. Hardcore hip-hop meets intelligent dance music. And so what I do is I choose instrumental and music that at its base is danceable. Because what pop music is just the music that people are dancing to at the time. So Bob Marley used to be pop. Wu-Tang Clan used to be pop. Tupac used to be pop.
James Brown, I'm Black and I'm Proud was pop. And so, I think that so many people who are, I can only speak for hip-hop, so many people who were supposedly conscious rappers are slaves to the boom bap. They're slaves to a certain type of instrumental and lyricism that doesn't necessarily transfer to the danceability that is most consumed by people. And so I feel like conscious rappers don't make enough dance music, and that's why they fall behind, a lot of other folks, And so, what I do is I just try to make dance music with hard lyrics so that even if you ain't listening to what I'm saying, you can still move, you can still groove, but if you listen to what I'm saying, you get a jewel. If not two.
One of the things I was going to ask you is if people are interested in finding some of your music, and we do have listeners not just from Durham and the North Carolina area, but Dean is actually up in Virginia. Our regular host is in Hawaii. We've got people in Oklahoma and various other parts even of the globe. But they're interested in finding where your music is or listen to your music. Where can they find it at? Is it on, what website is it on? How can they locate you?
All right, well, I'm on SoundCloud. I'm on the local, not local, it's international, but it's based in Durham. I'm on Reverb Nation. And so if I could just spell my name, then my artist name is Kenyatta Sada. My government name is Solomon Burnett. That's weighty. I mean, it's almost like you got to recite Proverbs and Ecclesiastes every time you get on the mic. You go by Solomon. And so I swapped it out. My artist name is Kenyatta Sada, and that's spelled KENYATTASSATA. That's KENYATTASSATA. It's like Kenyatta and Asada put together. And if you just put that in Google, all my social media and a couple of websites with my music will come up. You're in for a treat.
Cool. We'll definitely be checking that out. I know Dean will probably put it on our page as well. If there's anybody out there, we still got another 35 minutes or so to go. But if there's anybody out there that wants to call in, our number is 646-668-8393. That's 646-668-8393. That's the number to call into the show. We're always willing to hear from other folks as well. We've had folks calling in from various parts of the country. I think we had somebody from South Dakota about a month or two ago, and earlier before Solomon got on, we had a activist from Tulsa, Oklahoma. So we're always willing, and actually a hip-hop artist called in, I believe it was a couple of weeks ago from the Massachusetts area. So we're always willing to hear from all over the country as well as all over the globe, and that's just some of the places that have called in. So we're always willing to hear your voice. As we like to call it, we are the voice of the people, so we want to hear what the people have to say. Dean?
Yes,
sir. With me, Dean?
I'm still here.
All right. So, Dean, you want to drop those websites that we're also on real quick? The ones that we got that whole running list of them.
Yeah, we got a whole running list, and hopefully it'll keep growing. The first one is blogtalkradio.com/Ty Jones The Voice, which we're on every Monday night. You can catch the replays on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, TuneIn. Follow us on Twitter. Like the Facebook page. We're moving and grooving. It's the voice of the people, y'all.
Definitely. Dean, what do you got to say about what the conversation has been? I've been monopolizing it for a while. I said Solomon giving us all kinds of jewels and everything, so I want to know what you got to say.
Man, listen, the biggest thing for me is just saying a final farewell, and it's not really, it's based on activism because this individual was a great man and a very serious civil rights activist. We lost a legend in Richard Claxton Gregory, also known as Dick Gregory, passed away on Saturday. He was a civil rights activist, social critic, writer, entrepreneur, comedian, conspiracy theorist, and actor. You know what I mean? In the 1960s,
He became a pioneer in stand-up comedy.